My running in 2025 did not go according to plan, so I retired. I didn't retire from running, however. I retired from my teaching job. After 43 plus years, a couple of weeks ago, I fully retired from teaching. I'd already retired a year and a half ago from full-time teaching, but I was doing part-time Title I reading instruction teaching, and I found I was working harder than I did as a full-time teacher. There were more demands, more stress, and I think that was somewhat affecting my running, and it was time to retire, so I just did. 2025 did not start off good. In fact, in the fall of 2024, I hit a major stumbling block. A couple weeks before I was to run my goal marathon, I found out I had broken the fourth metatarsal bone in my right foot, and I had to take 3 months off from running and started again running in January of 2025, full of enthusiasm, ready to go with a plan to run Boston because I had qualified for the race the year earlier, and April was coming and there was no way I was not going to run the Boston Marathon. So it was going to have to be getting shape quick. Oh, there was a problem though. I found that I was exhausted all the time once I started running, and my running was not going well. I was having difficult breathing and coughing. And in March, the doctors finally took a look at me and did a chest x-ray and said, well, you have walking pneumonia, which I probably had since Thanksgiving, which didn't give me much time before Boston, but I got on medication and I was able to complete the Boston Marathon based on mental strength rather than physical strength. And the way I did that was because my running was not going so well, I decided I would have to prove to myself I could run a marathon. So in the 5 weeks before Boston, I ran a 18-mile run. The next week, I ran 26.2 miles. I knew I could run a marathon at that point. The next week after that, I ran 20 miles in the hills in New Hampshire. And the week after that, I ran another 20 miles in the hills in New Hampshire. Had a couple weeks. I was ready for Boston, even though I didn't have the base mileage to really do the race. But my goal was to just go and enjoy the experience rather than trying to race it. So this one, I had two goals for the race. One goal was to enjoy it. The other goal was to go out slow at the start and finish strong at the finish. And I did. I had a blast at that race. I ran strong the last miles. I was picking off people left and right, and I had fun seeing my family out on the course, and it was a great experience. I've never enjoyed Boston so much, or even a race so much, as I did the 2025 Boston Marathon. And I was ready to go for my next goal, to run the Falmouth Road Race, 50 years after I had first run it back in 1975 as a 16-year-old high school cross-country runner. Unfortunately, I went down to Cape Cod, down to Falmouth, ran part of the course in June, and then decided after going by the finish line, I'd run by the old house I grew up in, about a half mile from the finish line. And wouldn't you know it, right in front of that house, I tripped, fell down. That hurt. Got up and ran back to my car, but the next day I could barely walk. I had twisted my foot. The muscles and ligaments were not supporting my weight too well, and I went to the doctors and found out I had broken the cuboid bone 2 months before that Falmouth Road Race I was looking forward to. So I was done with running again, and took 2 months off, tried some things, not really with the advice of my podiatrist, but I got 9.5 miles in that last week or two, and I ran Falmouth. It did not go well, but I finished, and I didn't enjoy that one, but there was no way I was not going to run the 50th anniversary of my first Falmouth Road Race. There are a few things that I learned after that second broken bone, and one that my feet are in bad condition. I have neuropathy. I don't really feel my feet. I have a neuroma there that was causing me to shift my feet without thinking about it, my foot on the ground, and it was causing stress further up my body. And the doctor says, the PT person said I had plantar fasciitis, but I don't know if I feel that. I just know the bottoms of my feet are extremely tight and my foot muscles don't work well at all. And after a run, my feet were so beat up, I'd have a hard time walking barefoot around. So I knew I had to do something different. Before the Falmouth Road Race, I joined up at the YMCA and I asked about the different machines there. And I particularly wanted to know if they had an arc trainer because I'd read about those. And they did, and I started working on that, and I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm a cross trainer. I've got 40,000 miles on elliptical bikes. I even have an elliptical indoor trainers to ride the bikes on. But I found, despite my love of the Elliptigo, the Arc Trainer fit my body better. It has wider platforms, which helps me with my hips, and it has a wider platform base, and because I have a foot that I have tibial torsion, it goes out this way. On Elliptigo, it confines my foot in the pedal, and that has repercussions up my back and hip. So with a wider base on the Arc Trainer and a wider platform to put my foot on, I can arc my foot out, I can stabilize my hips better, and I start feeling that in using the Arc Trainer, stronger, more balanced in my body. My hips started feeling better. And so I decided I'm going to incorporate riding an Arc Trainer. I was too lazy to go to the Y all the time to do so. I looked online. They're really, really cheap on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes they're giving them away. I found one with the handlebar motion. Some of them don't have that. Close enough to home that I was able to get this $3,000 piece of equipment for $250. And I absolutely love working on this, and I've seen the benefits in my running. So number one, less running, more arc training and other types of cross training exercises. So there's less time on my feet, damaging my feet. Number two, run less and run faster. I'm someone that I like running distances. So to train, I just want to go as far as I can. That was not good on my body. I found that my pace wasn't that good in my running as to what I'd like to do. What I noticed with the Arc Trainer, once I started running again, I was running about a minute per mile faster than I normally do on my training runs. I don't know if it's the cadence, the foot speed, or it's just that it's balancing my body better, or just the lesser mileage, but I feel so much better in my running, which had another roadblock after the Falmouth Road Race. Once I started up again, when I thought my foot was fully healed, I got a calf injury running down in Falmouth on the rail trail. I was doing one of the fast workouts that I wanted, and I was running about a minute and a half faster than I normally do and feeling really good. And some lady rode by me on the bike and said, "Man, you're really going fast out there." I felt really good about myself, kept going fast, and took the 180-degree turn in Woods Hole a little too quickly. Soon after that, I felt a twinge in my calf, and that meant the next 2 months I could barely run. I would try, do okay, but then it would start up again. It took about 2 months before I could run, which was just a couple weeks ago, where I could start running again without worrying about my calf. So I'm running less mileage, but I am running faster in my runs. And the third thing that I'm doing is foot strength exercises. I've been using a Mobo board and a Blackboard, which are two foot strengthening devices I had bought years ago, but I never put much time into them. I didn't know exactly how to use them and just never put the effort into them. And I've started using them, and I feel so much stronger in my feet. I feel more mobility at the bottom of my feet. Some of the aches and pains that I get are decreasing, and my feet are feeling stronger. So I'm really hopeful about taking care of my feet will build up the rest of my body so that I can run and run well, because I do have a plan, and that plan is a spring marathon, at least one spring marathon, maybe more if I can get into the shape that I'd like. And I'd like to do a really fast one for someone my age. I'll be 67. So my goals are cross train, particularly on the Arc Trainer, which I really enjoy. run less miles, train smarter, run faster. And along with that, if I get up to the marathon, my body feels good, I'll be doing the same plan I did last year. And that is 3 or 4 long runs before the race, because that makes your brain know that you can handle the distance. So, my body, I've been running marathons since 1977 was my first one. So my body knows how to run a marathon. But my mind may shut down and say, you haven't done enough training. Why do it? But if you do the long runs, not only does it do the training that you need to develop the ability to go the distance, but your mind says you can do it and you don't have to worry about it at that point any further. The other thing is work on my foot health. Now, I said I was retired. I think that's going to be the real key for this coming year in 2026, because I no longer have the stress of teaching. I am no longer in front of, in the last job I did, I was seeing kids from grades K through 4. I was seeing 7 to 8 half-hour groups a day, sitting at a table, constantly talking with 4, 5, or 6 kids and working with them. And they come to school sick, and they cough on you, and they breathe on you because you're in close proximity. And I was just getting constantly sick. So I hope to be in better health. I hope to reduce the stress. And also the stress led to stress eating, and the injuries lead to eating because there's nothing fun like running to do. So I do know in that time I need to lose at least 20 pounds before April happens to be able to run where I want to. And part of that is, now that I'm retired, I can try new things. So one of the things I want to try is working on food and meal plans, because I'm a really poor eater. I love my sweets. I love the ice cream. I need to knock those off, and I need to eat healthier, and I will have the time to do that. And I think the good state of mind to do that, where I'm not just extremely exhausted at the end of every day at school. Even though it was a part-time job, I was working harder than I did as a full-time teacher. And that's when I knew it was time to retire and do the things I love in this world. And one of those things, I have many things I want to do, but one of those things is my love for running.